Hello everyone, Mark here, Mark's Max Muscle, and we have a very interesting video for you guys today. Very interesting topic as well. Out of all the Mr. Olympia champions that we have been graced with over the years, since 1965 till now, which one of them had the best Olympia debut? Now, to clear things up, this is not their win, their debut win, not when they first won the Olympia title, when they very first entered the Mr. Olympia event. And Larry Scott in 1965 made his Olympia debut. It was the debut of the Olympia, food for thought, and he won. He became the first ever and the only man ever to win on his debut of this event. But this is not to see who had the most successful Olympia debut. If that were the case, Larry Scott would win this. Case would be closed. Nobody else won. Some guys placed second. A few of the Olympia champions placed third during the event. Some less. But nobody ever placed first. Larry Scott, also food for thought. He won the second Olympia title. So Scott has all kinds of bragging rights. This video is to determine which bodybuilder, which Olympia champion had the very best Olympia debut. So if they stood them up on the bodybuilding stage, which one would win? So with all due respect to Larry Scott and even Sergio Oliva, pictured here in 1966, none of these older guys would be able to hold a candle to the modern day bodybuilders. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1969. We will, however, have a look at these guys. 1969, he was tremendous. And I wager to say this debuting year would have marked the best at the time. Now, aside from, of course, Frank Zane, Franco Columbo, I mean, their debuts, they probably look good, but they definitely were no Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lee Haney, however, his debuting year, 1983, he placed third, not as good as Arnold, but I wager to say that this here version of Lee would in fact defeat Arnold Schwarzenegger 1969. So, Lee Haney, is he your winner? No. There are many more bodybuilders like Dorian Yates. He had a very successful debut year in 1991. He placed second. But realistically, guys, was this here 1991 version of Dorian Yates any better than the 1983 Lee Haney? Sure. But as you go down the line of Olympia champions, we run into the King Coleman. And King Coleman, he's going to win anything related to bodybuilding, right? Well, he made his debut way back when. 1992. Did not place very well at this event, but I mean, come on, guys. He looked pretty good condition-wise. You think he could defeat Dorian Yates, 1991? It would be close. So I guess as we are going down the pike, those two would probably be your best. And then we have the more modern-day bodybuilders. We have Jay Cutler, and we have Dexter the Blade Jackson. I would wager to say, yeah, these two dudes in 1999, where they both made their debut, I would wager to say that these two versions of these guys would be the very best of the time. They would defeat the Dorian Yates of 91 and the Ronnie Coleman of 92. But we are far from over in this little competition, this video, because it is plain to see in front of our little peepers is Phil Heath, and this is his Mr. Olympia debut year. He placed third, 2008, and hands down, this version of Phil Heath is going to destroy, with all due respect to Jay Cutler, Dexter the Blade Jackson, all of the aforementioned champions, with all due respect to them, he is going to flatline any one of them. Look at the condition. This is gosh darn near Phil Heath in his prime. And it was quite a successful debut, getting third. Not only that, but on paper, he was giving Jay Cutler and Dexter the Blade Jackson, who placed first and second, a run for their money. So he could have won. 2008, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, he could have won the Olympia. So considering he was that far ahead of everybody else, he has to be the winner in this one. I mean, you got a couple more champions in Shawn, Rhoden, and Brandon Curry. Both of them guys, like Cutler and Jackson, they made their Olympia debuts same year, 2011. Neither version can come close to Phil Heath. What about Big Ramy? What about Big Ramy? He got 8th, 2013. Pretty good version. Stand him next to Phil Heath. He's going to beat Phil in size. I think he's always going to beat Phil in size, structure, things of that nature. But Phil, he is just levels ahead of Big Ramy. And I mean, there's other shots too that you can just see a quality, a three-dimensional muscle that Phil Heath has. Not too many bodybuilders can say that one. And yeah, I think hands down, Phil Heath had a much more better, I guess, debut. On paper it was better, but realistically, you put them on the bodybuilding stage, and he had a better debut than all of the Olympia champions. I apologize. And then you get to the last guy. Last but not least. Most certainly not least. This is Hadi Choopan. And much like Phil Heath, he made his debut placing 3rd. He got 3rd in 2019. And also like Phil Heath, it was one of his best versions, arguably his best. So I think a fitting end to this little matchup, this little video, would be a matchup, a comparison between these two dudes. And we will do this one pretty quick. Already had a look at this, and I gave Phil Heath the front double. I just think he has more impact. Good wide clavicle. You can see the lats of Hadi Choopan. But to see the lats a little bit better, you would go to the front lat spread. In which case, I would absolutely notch a point up for Hadi Choopan. In the side, it's a little bit more difficult to say. I like the display of Hadi, but ultimately I think Phil Heath would be too thick, too three-dimensional from the side point of view. And from the back, I think, yeah, Phil Heath is too much for Hadi Choopan. Lat insertions, things of that nature. Condition, slight edge to Phil. We're looking at pictures, keep in mind, so pretty close. The rear lat spread, on the other hand, I think Hadi would finally get back up on the score sheet with at least 2 points here to Phil's, maybe 3. And then you go to, we're doing this in IFBB order, of course. You go to the side tricep, and Phil Heath kind of slams the door shut here for Hadi. Hadi's condition, keep in mind, arguably better. So I guess on paper, or some people's opinion, and in the abs and thigh, I guess Hadi could get one back. 2008, Phil Heath, aesthetically speaking, he might have even had a better V-taper. Of course, Hadi does have those chiseled abs, and I guess realistically could get a point in the abs and thigh. And then Phil would, in fact, slam the door shut in the most muscular. Those arms are just too much. Bubbly, round, taking nothing away from that dry look that Hadi brought 2019. Plus, he has the wider clavicle. So, if somebody's going to ask me who had the best Mr. Olympia debut, out of all the Olympia champions, Hadi Choopan would most certainly be up there on the list. And I would say it's a tie between him and Phil Heath, but I have Phil Heath as your man. He's your man. Phil Heath, the doctor, PhD, Phil Heath domination. He is the doctor. 2008, makes his Olympia debut. 3rd place finish. And I would wager to say you could stand this debuting year up against any Olympia champion's debuting year, and he would win. It would be close, like I said, between him and Hadi, but he would win. So there you go, guys. Little bit of an exciting video. Kind of confusing with the title. Most of, I can wager to say some people are going to be thinking that it's their debut win of the Olympia. No. It's their debut year. Hit thumbs up, subscribe. Have a great one, guys.